Okay, this video is going to be about how to winterize this Yamaha Waverunner. This one is an 1100 VX Deluxe, that's it. And the basics, there's a lot of things you can do with winterizing. I mean, taking out the batteries, storing it, polishing it, all those types of things. This is really going to cover getting the water out, specifically in the cooling system, so that it doesn't freeze and break and, you know, bust the block or something else. That could be tragic. So that's what we're going to cover today, is getting the water out of the jet ski. Waverunner.
What is that?
That is Antifreeze. So we're going to use that in the Waverunner here. Okay, so
Does it make water?
it doesn't make water. It's just pink though, isn't it pretty?
It's pink water?
Yeah, it's like pink water, but it doesn't freeze the same. Yeah, so the pink water we're going to be using is,
Maybe I can help you.
we're going to use this. This is RV Antifreeze. It actually can turn into slush and actually even turn into a solid, but it's not supposed to expand. And so really it's not that cold where I am anyway. I'm in North Carolina. So this should work just handily. And it's pretty cheap too. So we're gonna flood about 5 gallons of antifreeze through this cooling system. And that's what we're gonna hit. But let me tell you about a couple things first. Okay, so 3 things just to keep in mind when we're talking about getting the water out of your boat before you put it in for winter storage. The first is remove your drain plugs in the back. You know, just like you do probably when you leave the boat ramp. Open those drain plugs, make sure you can evacuate as much water that might be in the Waverunner before you start. 2, open up the engine bay compartment. Look in there, see is there any water in that engine bay. If you can see any, dry it out. You know, towels, sponges, you know, a turkey baster, whatever you want to get it dry in there. And it also, in that second engine bay category, check the bilge if you have one. If you have a bilge pump, make sure that doesn't have any water in it too. I just did this Kawasaki beside me, since I have a Cowie, and in that one you can actually just blow through the bilge pump hose and blow all the water out of it. So that way it's free, it doesn't have any water in the system. But then third, lastly, and the one that seems it's most important, comes to my mind, is making sure we have all the water out of the cooling system so we can protect the engine. So for the Yamaha, the access port for flushing the cooling system is actually in the engine bay, so it's underneath the seat. So we're gonna pop the seat, open it up, and then we'll use this special connector so we can put in a garden hose.
Hey Dad,
Yeah?
I have a friend. I'm a new friend. He cannot do it.
Yeah, we need to get him out. Use this one.
Come on, my friend.
There's one.
There's 20. Hey, Dad, fucking tickled me.
There he is. Okay, we don't want him playing in there. Okay, I'm gonna show you the access point for the Waverunner, and then we'll get started.
Another one. Dad, he got a free. I just swimming. What the bugs living? What the bugs living?
The bugs, they live in the grass.
They live in the grass. And don't even go along. They live in the grass.
Okay, so right here, this is what we're after. Just unscrew this, open it up, and this is where we're gonna put our adapter. Okay, so here is the engine bay. And then right here at the back is that port. Now, for that port, we're gonna use this, unlike, we can't just plug a garden hose straight up to it. We need this adapter. Specifically, this end is what matters. On Amazon, you can get this adapter that just screws on hoses for like $5, or you can get this one, which is a little bit longer, that can obviously screw a garden hose on it. This one's like $15, but it just plugs right in here. So we're gonna do that next. Okay, Okay, I'm gonna do this one more time so I can see. It's sort of like putting in a light bulb in the back of your car or something, like a taillight, in that you take this and it's got, you can notice it has these extra space here and it's narrow here, and you've got notches on the adapter. Hopefully you can see those notches. These notches you're gonna put wide, just like the space. And then it's sort of a spring load. You'll push down and then you'll turn clockwise until it pops, and then you can let it up and it's in there, okay? And then if you want to take it out, you push down, turn counterclockwise, and then pull it out. There you go. But we're gonna put it in, turn it. There you go. So now we can attach a garden hose to the end, and you would use this if you were just flushing out, you know, seawater with fresh water to clean your jet ski. But today we're gonna use it to introduce coolant right into the system so we can have freeze protection. Okay, so right now the hoses aren't hooked up or anything, but we are going to try to get out of as much of the fresh water as we can before we introduce the antifreeze. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to turn on the jet ski, the Waverunner. Sorry you guys, Yamaha. So we're going to turn on the Waverunner, and we're going to rev it slightly to help spit out some water from the back if there's any remaining from our last ride. Okay, so we're only going to run it for a couple seconds. You know, 15 seconds is basically considered what's recommended by Yamaha, or less, unless you're running fluids through it. But next, we're going to hook up this hose to our connector, and then we're going to feed antifreeze into the system and let it run on that. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Okay, that's hooked up there, which is hooked to the port. The hose comes down to this bucket. In this bucket, I have antifreeze, and just a small amount. I'm actually gonna fill this bucket almost all the way to the top. It's fed by an outside battery, so I can pump it all up there, and then we can start filling it up. One thing I'm gonna mention is that absolutely make sure you have your jet ski or Yamaha Waverunner running before you turn on the pump. You're never supposed to pump fluids into the cooling system without the Waverunner already active. And that is because the water force, if the Waverunner isn't on, can actually damage the engine. So just a heads up, it's not bad to have your Waverunner, your PWC on for a short period of time. You know, just don't overheat it. But you turn it on first, then we can put in the fluids. As I pour this in, this is a submergible pump, so I want to completely submerge it. It makes it easier for it to start and prime. If you just have a little bit in there, you know, air can get trapped. The pump doesn't want to start as much. All right, one. Also, make sure you shut off your pump before you shut off your PWC. Once again, same issue. You don't want coolant flowing through into the system without your watercraft being on. Okay. Okay, so a little bit about the pump I'm using. I'm using a 12-volt diesel pump. It's rated at 30 liters per minute. And I chose that because, honestly, if you had a garden hose at about a 5/8 inch, you'd be thinking that it would be able to be rated at about 45 liters per minute. You can probably even go lower than 30, I think, and probably still be safe, because the diameter of the inlet on the Yamaha is actually quite small, and that's, I think, going to be the restrictive factor. But anyway, you want something that can pump out roughly about the same as a garden hose, so you can fill a little coolant up. I've got it attached by a 12-volt battery over here. Just this basic deep cycle that I have in one of my boats. This one has an on-off switch, so I can turn it on after I turn on my PWC. And then it's just this is a PVC hose, PVC water hose that was for an RV that I cut in half, and that actually worked out really good. It's 5/8 inch, and my outlet is 5 inch, so they're actually exactly the same. But I took a heat gun, heated it up, and then that expanded it, and I could just slide it over perfect. And when it cooled, it gave it a nice tight fit. I also put a hose clamp on there just to be sure. Okay, so next we're gonna turn on the Yamaha and hopefully drain some juice. Okay, first things first, we are going to turn on the engine. Next, we'll turn on the pump.